folks, and welcome back to my channel. This is my wrap up of what I read in February 2017. I had a pretty good reading month again. I read 10 things, the same amount of things that I read in January, although I must admit in February the things that I read were a bit shorter, but hey, February's a bit shorter than January. It's only fair. So what did I read in February? Well, the first thing I did was finish reading the audiobook of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by J.K. Rowling. This was narrated by Stephen Fry. This is obviously my paperback copy, but yeah, I was listening to the audio version because I haven't reread Harry Potter in a while, and the last time I did try and reread, I kind of got a bit stuck halfway through the series, so I thought I'd try the audiobooks. Stephen Fry is a great narrator. I really enjoyed listening to it. I'm currently partway through the second book, but yeah, so of course it's the first year of Harry's story. He discovers he's a wizard, he goes to Hogwarts, and adventures ensue, as does friendship. And that's probably the best thing about Harry Potter, is the friendship. I absolutely love the friendship. So that was the first thing that I finished for the month. And then I finished this little collection that I had borrowed from the library, Selected Poems by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. I've been looking for some Elizabeth Barrett Browning for a while, but keep not finding it in bookshops, so I tried the library. This particular collection is not my favourite of her work. It's mostly romantic poetry. I'm not sure if it's romantic in the technical romantic sense, but it's about love and relationships. Some of it's quite abstract, particularly the shorter works, and some of it are extracts of longer stories, which were the things that I preferred most. Such as the extract from Lee, which is one of her more favourite famous poems. I believe, Lord Walter's Wife, Bianca Among the Nightingales, those kind of things, they were a bit more my style. So it was very pretty, and said some interesting things about love. It wasn't always positive about love. Some of it was quite negative. At times, but it was nice. It was a nice read, but I'm really looking forward to trying to get some more of her more political works, which is what I really like. So that's Elizabeth Barrett Browning, Selected Poems. Then we come to what I read in the Getting Graphic Readathon, which I've already talked about, so I will just briefly mention them. There was Ms. Marvel Volume 5, Super Famous, which is the continuing adventures of our teenage Muslim superhero in New Jersey. In this particular volume was very much about her learning how to cope with the fact that she is now an Avenger as well as a superhero, and trying to manage her family, her school, and her avenging and her personal superhero stuff, and how difficult that can actually be. I read Star Wars Princess Leia, which is a one-off volume by Mark Waid and Terry Dodson, which is Princess Leia dealing with the loss of Alderaan, her planet, and searching out the remaining Alderaani people. And it was like, I very much appreciated it because it was ladies kicking butt, and also because the tenets of Alderaani society were the focus. And I think the entire world could probably take a lesson from the Alderaani people about what is important. So that was really good. And I also read Lumberjanes Volume 1, Beware the Kitten Holy, which is again, girls having fun, being friends. This time it's a bunch of girls that are at summer camp, and they keep finding mysterious supernatural things in the woods. Really fun. I've already picked up the second volume, which I haven't, so I'm looking forward to reading that. And there were a few digital comics as well. It was issue 1 of Ladycastle, which is what happens if you're in a fairy tale castle and then the men don't come back and ladies have to rule themselves and protect the castle themselves. There was also issue 1 of the Unstoppable Wasp, I think it was called, and that was, again, teenagers, teenage scientists, teenage geniuses, girls, just, generally being awesome together, and, mentorship relationships between, young teenage genius and, smart, sassy superhero, that kind of thing. And the final comic that I read was volume 1 of Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, which is about 9-year-old black super genius, bored at school, researching inhuman genes, and she meets a dinosaur and it sort of takes a liking to her and won't leave her alone, and so they team up. So that was all the comics, so there were 6 of those. Then I actually finished off a piece of podfic. So I've probably mentioned before that Tansy Rayner Roberts has this new podcast where she reads her own fiction called Sheep Might Fly, and the most recent thing that finished up was one of her new original stories, which is called Dance Princess Dance. It's the second one in her Castle Charming series. I had only listened to the first episode and then I left it alone, but it finished off recently. So in February, I basically listened to the whole thing. I think it's probably like a novelette length, if not a novella. It's quite a long one. And this is the story, it's a direct sequel to the Glass Slipper Scandal. And it is the story of the same set of characters after, they've discovered who the princess is and she's revealed herself, and now they've got a new mystery hanging around. It's the sports season in the Castle Charming. The princes and the princess are sort of trying to play their game rookery, and then slippers keep being bought and the princes get trapped in another world, and there's fairy godmothers, and the idea of having to tell the truth and admit the truth about yourself in order to escape. So it was really exciting. This is not a really coherent description of it. I don't even know how. But yeah, I love the Castle Charming world. It's really awesome. It's, tabloid newspapers and fairy tale princes and princesses and the aftermath of what happens in traditional fairy tales, and it's really cool. And then the final thing that I read in February was more Tansy Rayner Roberts. I read Bounty, a Mocklore collection, which was the collection that she released last year. This is a collection of the short stories and novellas that she has written over the years in her Mocklore universe. There were 2 new stories that hadn't previously been published. And so the first 2 stories are the stories about Bounty Fennetra, who is a half hobgoblin who runs around in chainmail lingerie having adventures, and the remainder of the stories were about Delta Void, who isn't a mercenary, thank you. She's an odd jobs woman, and she runs around having adventures, doing jobs, and getting into shenanigans, because she can actually shapeshift into various different personalities depending on what she needs at the time. So this is more of, I love Mocklore. It's shenanigans, it's ladies, it's complete and utter ridiculous fantasy world where nothing really makes sense, and you never know what's going to happen next. It could be a reign of purple sheep, it could be, anything, So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I really recommend picking up any of the Mocklore books. So yeah, it was a nice little short story collection to round out the month. And that was my February reading. I was really pleased that I actually got 10 things read again. I am ahead of schedule on what I'm reading for this year. I failed my read more than I buy, but that's, was going to happen anyway because of, what I mentioned in my last book haul video. It was, a book fair. I had to go. But hopefully this month I will read more than I buy. I'm nearly finished a book already. And partway through a few more, so we'll see how we go. Let me know if you want to know more about any of what I read in February, or if you liked anything that I read in February and want to give me your opinion, feel free. And I will see you again soon. Bye.